It is September 5th, 2024, across America, 5 days until the historic 2024 debate, which will be the most watched in American history in the election that will set the course for the balance of the 21st century. This is the warning. Donald Trump is in trouble. He is floundering, flailing, desperate, on defense about being weird. Now, when most people feel like they're drowning, what do they wish for? A boat? A jet ski crashing through the waves? Maybe that they had a life preserver on. Well, when it comes to Donald Trump, all three is a human being named Sean Hannity. Some years ago, Sean Hannity sat down with Ted Koppel. In a remarkable exchange, Koppel looked him in the eye and told Hannity in a prophetic vision how bad he was for America. Before watching Sean Hannity play his part as propaganda minister to the MAGA fascist, let's watch a little truth-telling by Ted Koppel.
You think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you and all these opinion shows...
That's sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
Because you're very good at what you do. You have attracted people who are determined that ideology is more important than facts.
Trump, like I said, when he's in trouble, he reaches for his plump, stuffed Hannity. Let's get into it.
You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. You got to. Even if you don't like me, you know. Yeah. It's no, but even if you don't like me, you can sit there and say I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I'm going to vote for her.
Actually, and this is important, we do have a choice. And the reason that Donald Trump should be disqualified for consideration by every patriotic American is because when we voted and we decided to fire him, he wouldn't go. He started an insurrection fueled by lies spread on Fox News. So the one thing these two have in common that no one else in the audience shares, besides private jets, is the fact that Hannity's the only one allowed to ask this guy a question, because Donald Trump can't be trusted, not by his political advisors to give a normal answer, not by Hannity, who so badly craves being close to power. It was always like that with Hannity. Whether it was him sucking up to Arnold Schwarzenegger or President Bush or John McCain, he is like a wasp to the orange juice in the trap. He can't stay away. So Sean Hannity loves the power. Sean Hannity loves Trump because Trump is his vehicle to be deputy president. Donald Trump doesn't rely on experts. He calls up Sean Hannity. They bullshit with each other and decide who gets deployed where. It's a dangerous world. And these two fools make it more dangerous. Now, when it comes to the vote, which is precious, so you do have a choice. Trump can laugh about that choice. Trump can try to make a highly qualified woman seem like the other, paint her as an outsider, allow her to be smeared by allies like Elon Musk. But the truth is, the only candidate who's a threat to your family's way of life is the seditionist sitting with the liar, vice versa, on Fox News in front of an arena full of stooges cheering for idiocy that we must not pretend in a nation of 350 million people is anything close to a representative sample of the American population. It's not at all.
We are potentially getting ready. I'm telling you, and I've made a lot of predictions, and this is not a prediction because it's so bad. I don't want it to be a prediction. We're heading into World War III territory. And because of the power of weapons, nuclear weapons in particular, but other weapons also, and I know the weapons better than anybody because I'm the one that bought them and, we rebuilt our entire military. The one program I hated to upgrade, hated it, was the nuclear program. And I understand it maybe better than anybody. My uncle was at MIT, a professor, the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, a very smart guy. We have a smart family. It's nice to have a smart family.
The absurdity of this answer makes it hard to know exactly where to start in taking apart this blusterer's insanities and complete idiocy. But I guess let's start here, that intellectually, if it's true that Trump's uncle was the longest serving nuclear physics professor at MIT, which, given the fact that Trump has lied to the American people on more than 45,000 occasions, we should look at skeptically. All that proves is that intellect doesn't transfer from uncles to nephews, because the genius physicist has an imbecile as a nephew. Now, the imbecile went on to be the president of the United States, where for certain he had no concept and still cannot speak intelligently about the nation's nuclear triad. Now, how does World War III start? Donald Trump weakened America by inviting Russia to invade our allies. Donald Trump weakened America in part by assaulting the honor and the integrity of the armed forces. We have a recruiting crisis in our armed forces, except for the United States Marine Corps, which I'll talk about on a different day why that is. But we don't have enough soldiers in the Army, enough sailors in the Navy. In fact, the U.S. Navy may need to mothball 13 ships because it can't crew them. We're in a dangerous situation. Does anybody think that the fact that we can't get people to sign up because of the devaluation of military service by a man who pisses all over it, this guy who desecrated the most hallowed ground of the nation at Arlington, who called our wounded warriors suckers and losers? The country is dependent for its strength as a matter of strategy on a coalition of United Nations, of free nations, of which we are the leader. Donald Trump weakens America's position, which has grown fantastically stronger during the Biden presidency because two fantastically powerful, wealthy, well-armed countries have joined the alliance. Arctic powers, Finland and Sweden. Joe Biden repaired the alliances that were left shaky by Trump's idiocies. The most manipulated president in American history was Trump. He's a mark, not a master of the game. He was our national checkers player in a geopolitical chess match. He is the antithesis of the idea that planning and preparation matter. Donald Trump is a fool beyond description. And when he talks about nuclear weapons, know that of all of us who aren't incarcerated for felonies or locked up in psychiatric institutions or sitting on a curb somewhere with a needle in their arm, it's hard to imagine any person between 18 and 80 who's more unfit to handle this country's nuclear arsenal than the con man, the Donald Trump. Truly an astonishing exchange.
And Director Ray said the threat level has never been this bad. He said it 5 consecutive times before Congress. What is going on?
Well, it's a sick and angry world for a lot of reasons. And we're going to make it better. We're going to heal our world. We're going to get rid of all these wars that are starting all over the place because of incompetent American leadership. And we're going to make it better.
Donald Trump has promised violence. He has promised retribution. He has promised revenge and the targeting of his political enemies. When he lost an election, he incited this violence. He said it was peaceful. He said it was a beautiful protest. Until 24 hours ago, the criminals locked up in federal prisons were going to be celebrated at his golf club in Bedminster. And it's all part of a sick game where on the one hand, Trump is pro-life, but on the other, he's the best friend women have ever had. On the one hand, he's against political violence. On the other hand, he stokes it. It's the instigate and deny game that he's allowed to play because of the corruption of the conservative media and the power of the internet algorithm. When Adolf Hitler ran for office, he didn't do so promising to murder Jews. Adolf Hitler promised to restore national greatness, to build roads, to curb inflation, to unite the country. What Donald Trump has done is lie, and these are lies of authorities. And what Donald Trump has done is lie tens of thousands of times, pitting one group against another. He's a man of violence who's killed with his words. How is our society like this? Sean Hannity asking this man is a sick, sick question.
You know, Viktor Orban made a statement. They said, bring Trump back and we won't have any problems. Viktor Orban, who's really considered a very strong, they said he's a strong man. Sometimes you need a strong man. He's a strong man.
Viktor Orban is a fascist from Hungary who consolidated power by shutting down the political opposition, seeking revenge and retribution, and closing down the media. He's interfered repeatedly in American politics, and he is a supporter of something called illiberal democracy. The first American to really fall in love with Viktor Orban, the reason Trump even knows his name, is Tucker Carlson. Now, Viktor Orban gave a speech 2 years ago, right before he came to CPAC, run by the sexual predator, Matt Schlapp, who's the closest thing in America to this guy, Ernst Röhm, the head of Hitler's brown shirts. But step back from that for just a second. Right before Orban came to CPAC, he gave a speech that I wrote about at the time that one of his top officials resigned over because he said it was a Hitler speech. Orbanism is refreshed Hitlerism because Orbanism is fascist light. And Viktor Orban is the intellectual light that all of these weirdos, and yes, they are weirdos, look to. So if you're an American who looks to a Hungarian fascist with a Count Dracula accent, the leader of a country that was on the wrong side of both world wars, as the leading light for how we should order American society in the 21st century, let me submit to you that you're off the f***ing wall. And that is the problem with Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson and all the weirdo packs' veneration of a guy who gives speeches that venerate the ideas of Adolf Hitler, who's now being celebrated openly by Tucker Carlson.
There's something weird with that guy. He's a weird guy. JD is not weird. He's a solid rock. I happen to be a very solid rock. We're not weird. We're other things, perhaps, but we're not weird. But he is a weird guy. He walks on the stage. There's something wrong with that guy. And he called me weird. And then the fake news media picks it up. That was the word of the day. Weird, weird, weird. They're all going, but we're not weird guys. We're very solid people that want our country to be great again. I mean, it's very simple.
I'm going to be honest. I think this picture of J.D. Vance dressed in drag at Yale after being in the Marine Corps is weird. And I think it's weird, all the things that he says about women. Cat lady comment was weird. I think it's weird that you have this Silicon hillbilly who, more than anything else, seems to be auditioning for the role of a Handmaid's Tale commander for the final season. I think it's really weird. What about this? Thumbs up in the gravesite? That's weird. How about this? Imagine there's a global pandemic and you're the president of the United States.
I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
Yep. Bleach in the arm. Anybody think this is weird? Here's him shoving his way into the center stage at NATO. You know, by the way, the mark of being a really dumb American is believing that Trump is respected as opposed to laughed at by all of these people. He's a clown.
If you watch that interview, she had notes. That means she knew the questions, and she had notes. She kept looking down, up. Nobody wants to cover it. I know all about notes. I mean, you know, it's all right if people know that, but she wasn't supposed to have notes. So she's asked a question, she looks down, she had notes.
Many years ago, when I worked for President Bush, after a presidential debate, a rumor took hold that he was wearing a radio transceiver and a microphone. When I look back on it, I realized I was on a frontier of a new age of whack jobbery, but didn't really deduce it at the time. But come all the way forward. Now, the conspiracy theorist is the former president. It is incredible to watch the weakness of an entire institution succumbed to the most venal, idiotic, empty vessel conceivably imaginable. Donald John Trump, the dictator on day one from Queens, purveyor of steaks, cheap wine, and fake university degrees, a bloviating hustler, a P.T. Barnum of the cable age, our American dictator, sustained by the Sean Hannitys of the world, to cheering adulations from an arena filled with lonely people who finally found a community. God, it's pathetic. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.